If rap music has shown us anything, it's that people are capable of accomplishing impossible feats. Whether there's Eminem making his way out of 8 Mile to become one of the greatest rappers of all time, or 50 Cent getting shot 9 times and surviving to become one of the greatest business moguls the rap game has ever seen. But they all still pale in comparison to the greatest overachiever of all, Mother Nature. I am here at the Cabrillo Marine Aquarium in Long Beach to witness one of nature's most incredible feats of survival, a feat that's been studied by scientists since the early 1950s and that we're still struggling to figure out how this unique animal pulls this off every year. Yes, my friends, this right here is the Grunion Run.
Let me welcome you to our world-famous Grunion program. And not exactly when I say world-famous, here's the proof right here. This is not Manny and Kenny. This is May 1969, National Geographic. They came down and did about a 10-page spread on this very program you guys are taking part in tonight.
It's pretty amazing. I just turned into a Grunion parent right here. They give us these little bottles, fill them with the sand. The sand already has the Grunion eggs in here. Add some water, you shake it up vigorously. That shaking actually signals them by nature to actually break out of the shells. It resembles kind of how the waves would come in from the tides and bring the eggs back out to the water. So they don't actually break out of their egg yolk until you give them that rigorous shaking. So now you're looking here, you've got thousands of baby Grunions ready to put back in the sea. Magic or nature.
I'm Sam, I'm retired, but this is my retirement job.
This is your retirement job. Okay, this is a great retirement job.
It
I like
is,
that.
yes.
All right.
I'm Zara. This is one of my 2 jobs.
One of your 2 jobs.
One I enjoy coming to.
All right, awesome. Hey.
I'm Irene, and like Sam, this is my retired job.
Retired job.
Yes.
Okay, we've got a lot of retired jobs. Is your retired job too?
My name's Matt, and I'm looking to retire in about another 5 years.
Another 5 years. How about you guys in the back?
Yeah, they're retired.
It's definitely not your retirement job, right?
Part-time job while I go to college.
Oh, okay. Where are you going to school at?
El Camino,
El Camino. Okay, what are you studying?
marine biology.
Yeah,
Of course.
awesome. How about you, buddy? And what do you want to be? Do you want to study marine biology as well too? Oh, okay. Well, you're in the right place to be. Obviously, we're here for the Grunion Run. How many Grunion Runs have you guys been on?
7 or 8 for the last 22 years.
For the last 22 years.
Yeah.
What's the craziest Grunion Run that you guys have seen?
Probably about maybe 3 years ago is when I remember. And that was a Walker Scale 5. There's a scale that measures the intensity of a Grunion
Okay,
run.
Walker Scale 5. Okay,
Walker Scale 5. And
5 is
that's-
the best. Oh wow.
Yeah, and that's the fish on the beach for upwards of an hour. And out here on the outer beach, there's a 5-foot wide ribbon of fish from the tide pools to the jetty. 300
Whoa.
yards, 400 yards, and 3 or 4 fish deep.
Now I've noticed that there's some species that actually do this mating procedure during the daytime as well too. Is that correct?
We've got the California Grunion here, and the California Grunion is strictly nocturnal.
Larestes tenuis is our California Grunion.
Okay.
Larestes sardina is the Gulf Grunion. That runs at the head of Sea Cortez, and they're the ones that come out during the daytime. And that's because that's when high tides occur down there.
And now, how long have they made the rule that you could only pick up Grunions during the later part of the season?
The data is showing that perhaps close season is too early.
It's too early.
Yeah, so that's really exciting to hear because she just did that talk.
She's documenting that the run is moving north. June may not cover those later runs. She thinks that she's attributing that to climate
And they
change.
just had a run documented in San Francisco.
The fish are smaller. DNA sampling says they're the exact same species, and the eggs have a smaller yolk.
I am going to go get my boots on, and we're going to
Oh wait, is it almost game time?
We're
The
gonna send
scouts
them
go
out
out to
early.
the beach first, and we
Okay.
clear the beach off.
So are these beaches pretty controlled as far as making sure that you don't just have random people just out
Yeah,
on the beach?
so we've got the park rangers down here too. So they, since they've been coming to these events as well, they're really good at making sure the general public are actually helping us by staying off the beach during these times.
So we're here on the beach right now, but apparently there's some people that aren't supposed to be on the beach. So with these guys, they're going to clear everybody out because the commotion, people that are actually here on the beach could actually scare away the Grunions. So they got to keep light to a minimum. You got to keep noise and vibration to a minimum. So as you can see, he's clearing all these people out from the waves so that we could bring our group over here. It's about 11 o'clock right now. Peak high tide is 11:15. And the fish usually come in about 10 to 15 minutes after the peak high tide. So Grunions live along the California and also Gulf of Mexico coast, from Central California all the way down to Southern California, all the way down to Baja, Mexico. and also into the Gulf of Mexico as well too. And this instinctively happens around April, May, June, July of every year. They time it with the full moon and the new moon. They work their way out here onto shore during high tide. The females bury themselves into the sand, lay their eggs. The males wrap themselves around the females, fertilize the eggs, and then the females wiggle their way outside of the sand and then back into the ocean. The eggs incubate into the sand for about 9 days, where the babies develop with the yolk and everything, and then they eventually hatch and work their way back out into the ocean. It's an absolutely amazing process, an amazing thing to see. The whole coastline here is just filled with grunions. Thousands and thousands of grunions lined up here, all of them mating. These waves bring them all the way into the top of the shore, and you're gonna see them all. They're all around my feet. They're all the way down the coastline, and they're actually it's pretty impressive, the skill set that they have. They're able to wiggle their way back onto the shore. They're able to work their way around kelp and other obstacles in the sand. They're working their way back into the water. It's absolutely incredible. The next full moon, the next new moon, these fish will come out here and they'll do this routine all over again. The females will come up to shore multiple times during the mating season, as well as the males. Like we showed earlier with our little experiment with the glass jar in the sand where we hatched the eggs earlier, that actually simulates what happens here in real life. The movement of the high tide that actually stimulates the eggs while they're still buried in the sand, that stimulation is actually what makes the eggs hatch. And once they hatch, they work their way out of the sand and back into the ocean. People come from all over the place to witness this Grunion Run. Like I said, it happens every single year. These fish are incredibly protected though. You are unable to touch the fish or move the fish from where they're currently at during April and the May periods. June, July, it's actually legal to come out here and catch the fish. You can't use a net or any other foreign objects to move the fish out of here. You can only capture them by hand. But during June, July, it's actually legal for you to capture the fish. They're like sardines, people eat them, but you know me. I love these creatures. There's no way I'm taking them out of their element. All right, well, that concludes my very first Grunion Run. It was absolutely amazing seeing this very unique species. How many other species will go through the sacrifice, will go through the risk in order to ensure their innate survival? We got rappers out here claiming that the earth is flat. Meanwhile, we got fish species that are capable of recognizing the full moon, the new moon, high tide and low tide, coming out here instinctively doing a very specific period of each year and laying eggs in order to ensure the survival of their species. You think technology is amazing? Mother Nature, that's the ultimate genius. I'm the Hip Hop MD. This is Hip Hop Science. We are off to our next science mission.